as Jay-Z uses an unusually long 4 minutes of straight poetry to tackle the drug war, business, discrimination, and perseverance. The poetry's spoken over a beat in a song with other artists, and I think you'll see why it's poetry as we go through it now.
Shawn Corey Carter, known as Jay-Z, owns a 4-floor penthouse in Tribeca, measuring 14,000 square feet, purchased in cash for $88 million. A 12-acre estate tucked behind iron gates in Bedford, New York, that almost no one outside the family has ever photographed from the inside. A champagne brand sold to the most powerful luxury conglomerate on earth for nearly $2/3 of $1 billion, and a cognac partnership exit that reportedly handed one man another $750 million. The flash you see is the album covers and the Rockefeller chains. The real empire is in the deeds, the equity stakes, and the holding companies that almost no one talks about. This is not the story of a rapper. This is the story of a landowner. We go deep on the wealth, power, and legacy of the Black community worldwide. Subscribe and turn on notifications because this story is bigger than music. It is bigger than fame. Shawn Corey Carter, born in the Marcy Projects of Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, did something almost no Black entertainer of his generation managed to do. He converted celebrity into infrastructure. He turned an album catalog into a balance sheet. He took the language of hip-hop and translated it, line by line, into the language of private equity, real estate empire, and generational wealth. New York is the most expensive city on earth. Jay-Z does not just live in it, he owns pieces of it. The origin. Marcy Projects, Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, the 1970s and 1980s. A 6-building public housing complex in central Brooklyn where Shawn Carter spent the first years of his life with his mother, Gloria Carter, and 3 siblings. His father, Adnis Reeves, left when Shawn was 11. The crack epidemic was reshaping the neighborhood in real time. The economic baseline of his childhood was survival, not aspiration, survival. The Marcy Projects in that era was not a metaphor for poverty. It was poverty. Concrete, brick, elevators that did not work. A school system that the rest of New York had quietly written off. Shawn Carter wrote rhymes in composition notebooks. He sold what the corner sold. He watched friends die. He watched friends go to prison. By the time he was a teenager, he had a working understanding of distribution networks, supply chains, customer retention, and pricing that he would later say, in interviews, mapped almost perfectly onto the record business he would eventually build. This is the first thing the wealth story requires you to understand. The man who would later sit across from Warren Buffett for a Forbes interview did not stumble into business intuition. He earned it under conditions most American executives could not survive for a week. The foundation, where it all started. 1996, Reasonable Doubt, the debut album that almost did not happen. Every major label in New York passed. So, Shawn Carter, Damon Dash, and Kareem Biggs Burke did something that almost no Black artist of that moment was doing. They started their own label, Rockefeller Records. They pressed their own records. They sold them out of the trunks of cars. They built their own distribution before they signed a distribution deal. That decision, the decision to own the masters from day one, is the single most important financial move of Jay-Z's entire career. Every catalog royalty, every streaming check, every sample license, every sync placement that flows from Reasonable Doubt through the blueprint through the Black Album flows back to a man who refused, at 26 years old, to sign away his publishing. You can trace nearly every billion-dollar Black music empire of the last 20 years back to a single principle: ownership of the catalog. Jay-Z understood it in 1996. Most of his peers did not understand it until 2015. By then, the masters were already worth 9 figures. That is the foundation, not the rhymes, the receipts. The rise. Through the late 1990s and into the 2000s, the Rockefeller catalog stacked. The blueprint in 2001, the Black Album in 2003. The brief retirement that everyone knew was not really a retirement. The Def Jam presidency from 2004 to 2007, where he sat as the highest-ranking Black executive at a major label and signed Rihanna, Young Jeezy, and Nayo. Every move pushed him further away from the microphone and closer to the boardroom. In 2008, he made the move that reframed the entire empire, Roc Nation. a $300 million partnership with Live Nation that gave him a touring conglomerate, a management division, a publishing arm, and a record label, all under one umbrella. This was no longer an artist signing a record deal. This was an artist building the building the record deal lives inside. By 2013, Roc Nation Sports launched, representing Kevin Durant, Saquon Barkley, Leon Bailey, and dozens of other athletes across the NFL, NBA, and global soccer. By 2021, Roc Nation opened the School of Music at Long Island University in Brooklyn, a fully accredited academic program named for, structured around, and partially endowed by Shawn Carter. Most rappers get streets named after them. He named a university school after himself, in the borough he was born in, before he turned 52. The real estate, the empire. 2017 was the year the property record changed everything. In a span of months, Shawn Carter and Beyoncé Knowles Carter acquired two of the most significant private residential assets in the New York metropolitan area. The first was 88 Late Street in Tribeca, a 4-floor triplex penthouse measuring approximately 14,000 square feet, 6 bedrooms, a rooftop terrace overlooking the Hudson River and the lower Manhattan skyline. The purchase price was approximately $88 million. At the time, it was reported as one of the largest residential transactions in downtown Manhattan history. Tribeca is one of the most expensive zip codes in the United States. Within Tribeca, this penthouse is in the top tier of every metric that matters: square footage, light exposure, ceiling height, river access. This is not a celebrity apartment. This is institutional-grade real estate, held in a private name. The second acquisition was 45 miles north, in Bedford, New York. A 12-acre compound in Westchester County, reportedly acquired for approximately $26 million. Multiple structures, a main residence, guest houses, private gates. No public photographs of the interior have ever surfaced. The Bedford estate is the quiet seat of the Carter family. It is where the children grow up. It is what the New York papers do not write about because they cannot get close enough to write about it. The Tribeca Penthouse is the address everyone knows. The Bedford estate is the address that actually matters. These two properties alone, on conservative current valuations, represent well over $120 million of New York real estate held by a single black family. And they are only the New York holdings. The portfolio extends to Bel Air, the Hamptons, and reportedly the Hollywood Hills. But New York is the seat. New York is the empire's capital. The business empire. Now we get to the structural genius. Because the real estate is the visible wealth, the exits are where the architecture lives. Armand de Brignac, the champagne brand most people know as the Gold Bottle. Jay-Z acquired full ownership in 2014 from the Cartier family in France. He repositioned it, marketed it through his cultural infrastructure for 7 years, and then, in 2021, sold 50% of the brand to Moet Hennessy, the wines and spirits arm of LVMH, the most powerful luxury conglomerate on earth, run by Bernard Arnault. The deal terms were not publicly disclosed, but Financial Times and other outlets reported the transaction at a valuation, placing the brand around $640 million. He kept half the business and the partnership with the most distribution-capable luxury house in the world, Doucet. The Cognac brand he co-founded in 2012 with Bacardi. For roughly a decade, he held the minority equity position and built the brand into a serious global cognac competitor. In 2023, after a public dispute over valuation, he and Bacardi settled. He retained a smaller equity stake and reportedly received approximately $750 million in the restructuring, 2 liquor exits, reportedly over $1.3 billion in cash and equity combined. From 2 brands he did not invent, from categories he entered as the outsider, from a position no one in the spirits industry took seriously in 2012. Tidal, the music streaming platform he acquired in 2015 for $56 million. By 2021, he had sold a majority stake to Jack Dorsey's Square, now Block, for $302 million. A roughly 5-fold return on capital over 6 years, on an asset most of the music industry mocked at the time of purchase. Marcy Venture Partners, co-founded in 2018 with Jay Brown and Larry Marcus, a venture capital fund focused on consumer brands. The portfolio includes Savage X Fenty, Rihanna's lingerie company that has been valued near $3 billion. It includes Partake Foods, the Black woman-founded allergen-free snack brand. It includes Lobos 1536, the tequila brand. This is not celebrity investing. This is institutional venture capital with a fund structure, a thesis, and limited partners. He is not the famous face on the cap table. He is the general partner. Roc Nation itself is the holding company that ties most of it together. It is private. Revenue figures are not disclosed. But between the management roster, the sports agency, the label, the publishing, the philanthropy arm, and the Long Island University endowment, Roc Nation is one of the most consequential Black-owned business empires in the modern American entertainment industry. Forbes confirmed his billionaire status in 2019. Current estimates place his net worth around $2.5 billion. A kid from the Marcy Projects of Bedford, Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, a billionaire. Quiet wealth in plain sight. The legacy play. Here is where the wealth story becomes the wealth journalism, because money without legacy is just money. The Shawn Carter Foundation was founded in 2003 by Gloria Carter, his mother in his name. Its central mission is sending kids from underserved backgrounds to college. Scholarships, HBCU tour funding, mentorship, direct financial assistance for students who would otherwise never see the inside of a four-year university. By recent counts, the foundation has supported thousands of students through college, with millions of dollars distributed in scholarships. The Roc Nation School of Music, Sports and Entertainment at Long Island University in downtown Brooklyn opened in 2021. This is an accredited academic institution. It offers degrees. It is staffed by working professionals from the music, sports, and media industries. The Roc Nation Hope Scholars program inside it covers full tuition for selected students. It is positioned intentionally in the borough where Shawn Carter was born, not in a wealthy Manhattan zip code, but in the borough that raised him. The Reform Alliance, co-founded with Meek Mill, Michael Rubin, Robert Kraft, and others, is one of the most consequential criminal justice reform organizations of the past decade. It has driven legislative change in multiple states around probation and parole reform issues that disproportionately affect Black communities, and that Shawn Carter has personal historical connection to. This is what the channel calls the legacy lever. The wealth re-enters the community as scholarships, as a school, as policy infrastructure, as venture capital flowing into Black-founded and Black-led companies. The blueprint is not just to acquire. The blueprint is to build the building, name it after the borough that raised you, and put scholarships inside it. The life now. So how does the most quietly powerful Black businessman in New York actually live? He lives between the Tribeca Penthouse and the Bedford estate. His three children, Blue Ivy, Rumi, and Sir, are raised primarily out of the public eye, with the Bedford compound functioning as the family seat. He maintains creative output, sparingly features occasional production, the rare album, while the operational center of his life is the business itself. He attends NBA Finals. He sits courtside at the Super Bowl. He shows up at the Met Gala beside his wife, but the actual day-to-day is meetings, capital allocation, deal, structure, board calls, the work of a man running a private holding company that happens to also have a discography. He maintains close ties to Brooklyn. He maintains close ties to his mother. He maintains close ties to a small circle of long-tenured advisors, Jay Brown, Desiree Perez at Roc Nation, his attorneys, his bankers. He is not a public-facing CEO. He is a structural operator. He is what the old money families on the Upper East Side would recognize instantly as one of their own, except he built it himself from a public housing apartment in central Brooklyn in a single generation. The 14,000-square-foot Tribeca Penthouse, the 12-acre Bedford estate, the champagne exit to LVMH, the Cognac exit from Bacardi. These were not lifestyle purchases. These were structural moves in a balance sheet that has been compounding for nearly 3 decades. Shawn Corey Carter did what almost no Black entertainer of his generation managed to do. He converted fame into ownership. He took a depreciating asset celebrity and translated it into appreciating ones. Land, equity, catalog, brand, IP. a venture capital fund, a university school, a philanthropic foundation that has put thousands of students through college. New York is one of the most powerful economic cities on earth. Manhattan, real estate, private equity, music publishing, sports representation, and luxury spirits all collide here. Jay-Z does not just operate in that ecosystem. He owns pieces of every layer of it. This is what black wealth looks like when it is built to last. Not the chain, the deed, not the rented yacht, the holding company, not the platinum plaque on the wall, the masters in the vault, not the appearance of money, the architecture of it. From the Marcy Projects to a fortress of black capital across Tribeca and Westchester County, the story of his empire is the story of a single principle, repeated for 30 years: ownership compounds. Fame does not. He understood that at 26. Most of the industry did not understand it until he had already built the empire. That is the blueprint. That is the receipt. That is the quiet power. Which piece of his empire surprised you the most? The 14,000 square foot Tribeca Penthouse? The Bedford estate almost no one talks about? Or the back-to-back liquor exits that reportedly netted over $1.3 billion in combined value? Drop it in the comments. We read every one. Subscribe to Black Pinnacle and turn on notifications because we are going deep on the next mogul next week, and you do not want to miss the ownership story most of the internet still gets wrong. Click the video on your screen right now for the empire we covered before this one.